Hi grade 2, so we are going to go over vertical addition because I know that some of you found it a little bit hard yesterday. So before I begin my sum, I need to know what my sum is asking me to do. So this sum is 35 plus 24. What vertical addition wants you to do is it wants you to add up the numbers in the columns. So we have two columns here. We have the ones column and we've got the tens column. In the ones column, we have a 5 and we have a 4. In the tens column, we have 30. Now, I don't want to draw 30 dots, so I'm going to draw 3 sticks, and each stick is going to be out of 10. So we have 30 and we have 20. Now I'm going to tell you a story. So I like to think of the ones as the kids' room. I like to think of the tens as the adults' room. The ones children, they are very little, so they are only the small numbers. So those are the numbers that are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. The adults in the tens room are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and 90. The children like to live in their rooms, and the adults like to have their rooms. They don't like to be in the same rooms because obviously all their things are in their room and it just makes more sense to have their own rooms. Otherwise, it would get a little bit crowded. So what we do in vertical addition is we add up the numbers inside the rooms. So we start with the children because they are the youngest. Now you can draw dots like I did, or you can work on your fingers, or you can use a number chart, you can use blocks. But by now you should be able to do this on your fingers because they are small numbers. So 5 plus 4 is 9. So I write 9 in the answer column. So 9 has its own room now. Then I go to the tens. Now I know counting in tens can sometimes be tricky, which is why I have the sticks. So, but if I count in tens, if I add 30 plus 20, I will get 50. So if I write 50 here at the bottom, I know that in the tens house, only the tens can live there. And I know that in 50, the 5 is the 10. So I will put the 5 inside the tens house. Now I know for a lot of you, it's much easier for you to say 3 plus 2 is 5. And if you want to, you can. But just remember that the 3 is actually 30 and the 2 is actually 20. So now we're going to move on to when we are actually going to carry or regroup. So what this means is that someone in the children's room is going to grow up. They are going to move to the adults' room. Okay, so now I'm going to add my dots to make it easier. So I know that this number means 5, this number means 7, this is 30, and this is 20. Now I need to do my steps. I know that I have to add the numbers in the ones house. But now when I add 5 plus 7, I get the number 12. But 12 is bigger than 9. 12 shouldn't be in the ones house because he's much bigger. So what I do is I write number 12 on the side. And I look at number 12. And I know that in number 12, the 1 is a 10 and the 2 is a 1. I know the rule is that only ones can live in the ones house. So I know that I must move the number 2 into the ones house. So the number 2 goes over there. Now what happens to the number 1? Well, he's a 10. He's grown up. He needs to move to the adult's house now. But there's no room for him. So what happens is he goes and he waits in the attic because he's waiting for a room. So there is number 1 going to the attic. Okay. Now what you do is you add up the numbers in the tens house. So now we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So we have the number 60. Now we know that in 60, the 0 is a 1 and the 10 is the 6. So we know that the 6 must go into the house. So the answer is 6 or 60. If you want to say 1 plus 3 is 4 and 4 plus 2 is 6, that's also fine. And there you get the answer, which is 62. So the rule is, when you are adding the ones, write the answer on the side and decide who goes into the ones house. Then the number 10 has to move to the attic in the tens house. So let's do another sum so that you can see if you can do it with me. Okay, so here we have 26 plus 28. So I want to maybe work out 6 plus 8 with my fingers. Okay, so I have 6 fingers up and I have 8 fingers up afterwards, and I'm going to add them together. Or I can put 6 in my head and count from 6. So I only need 8 fingers up. So if you count 6 plus 8, you will get the answer 14. If you don't know that it's 14, you can add your dots. So let's add our dots together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we add 8 dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For 20, we put 2 sticks. And for 20, we put 2 sticks. Right, so if I add those numbers together in the ones house, I can see that 6 plus 8 is 14. Now we don't write 14 in the answer because remember, we only can have one number in the answer block, and that answer has to be a 1. So we write number 14 on the side. When I look at number 14, I know that the 4 is a 1 and that the 1 is a 10. So which number do you think is going to go in the answer block? That's right. It's the number 4. Okay, so there's number 4. But now, where do you think this one is now going to go? Because here's a 10. Do I put him in the answer block? No. Do I put him in the answer block in the 10 side? No. Why can't I put him in the answer block on the 10 side? Because I still have to add up my other numbers. So that number 1 goes in the attic. Well done. Now all I have to do is add up my 10s. So 20 plus 20 is 40, and 40 plus 10 is 50. So my answer is 54. And that is how you do vertical addition. I hope this has made it a little bit easier for you. We will do one more sum just to make sure you can do it on your own. Okay. So I'm going to write the sum for you. And I want you to see if you can do it on your own, by yourself, so that you can see if you understand. So I think you should put the video on pause, go and get a piece of paper and a pencil, and try and do the sum. Okay. Right, I think you've got your piece of paper and your pencil now. So now we can do the sum. Try and do the sum and see if you remember how to do it. So remember, add the answer, find the answer for the ones and write it in the corner. When you're done doing that, decide who is the 10 and who is the 1 and write the 1 in the answer by number 1 and put the 10 in the attic. Then add the 10s together. You can put me on pause while you do the sum. Okay, let's see if you got your sum correct. So 6 plus 9, so I've got 6 dots and I've got 9 dots. So 6 plus 9 makes 15. So there's my 15. I know that the 5 is a 1 and the 1 is a 10. So I'm going to put the 5 in the ones column. And I know that the 10 goes in the attic because he's waiting for a room. Then I add up my 10s together. 10 plus 30 is 40. 40 plus 10 is 50. So a 50 goes there. So the answer is 55. I hope you were able to do this, grade 2s, and that you found it a little bit more easier than yesterday. And if you're still having any problems, make sure to contact your edu mentor so they can help you. Okay, bye.